Hello there, and welcome to Testopia Project Small Game. So, yeah, I tried to do this intro several times ad-libbed, so yeah, that didn't work out so well because I'm not that good at improvising. So I made myself a list. So, I'm gonna ask myself a few questions. Those are questions that I would imagine first time viewers like you would ask me. So, yeah, I suppose just go ahead. So, what is Project Small Game, PSG? Well, that is the team's new project after we put Generation Zero on the shelf in fear of the very painful banhammer that's been going around. Yeah. So it's a new game project, and in case you're wondering why the screen is flickering a little bit now and then, that's bad video card settings. So trying to do something about it, but well, no luck so far. Hopefully that won't be too annoying. And who is this weird dude with an odd accent? If you think my accent is odd, I don't know. Some people said my accent is pretty weak, but well, I am the team's coder, the programmer. My name is my code name is KvaGram, and yeah, I live in Norway, which is why my accent can be a bit unusual for sometimes. But yeah, I picked up quite a few American traits in the way I speak, so yeah. Some Americans can't actually tell me apart from Americans, so that's interesting. Okay. Now what's the next thing you supposedly ask me? So what is this Testopia thing? Well, I'm glad you asked, hypothetical viewer. Testopia is our testing ground for new game features. So as of right now, Project Small Game is in a very pre-production prototyping pre-alpha stage. So things are not finalized, we're still working out details, and yeah. And Testopia is the place where we test the game features that we want to put in. If things work, then we can put it in a build of the game as we develop it. And that way, anything unstable stays in Testopia, anything that's stable-ish goes into the proper game project. And if we have any custom plugins or custom scripts or something like that, that's of course something that I would have to pick. Then yeah, it will be applied to Testopia before said plugin would be applied to the proper game project, which is administered by TBC, as you know, the big cow himself. Right. Now what's the next question here from the hypothetical viewer? Is this a game dev vlog? Yes, this is a game developer vlog. That is video blog. And it's the first episode in a hopefully long series detailing all the more or less experimental stuff in Testopia. That's at some point going to be applied to the full game. The full game project, that is. So everything you see in Testopia is just testing. Any aesthetics, any character sprites, anything. That's just for testing purposes. You can't expect any of this to actually be in the final game. Pretty much none of the aesthetics or the mechanics can be discussed as being part of the game, if you get what I mean. So, next thing you might be asking is What version of Windows is that? As you see my status bar down here. And no, if you really think that, no, it's not Windows. You see, one thing that's new with the new RPG engine, well, it's been out for a little while now, but the one thing that's new with it is Linux support. And I am a big Linux user. So, yeah. This is running on Linux Mint, which is my, for now, preferred operating system. Although I am considering moving over to Ubuntu, since they're, moving back to GNOME desktop environment, all that. I suppose most of you don't understand any of that, so let's try to keep any Linux discussion out of this series. Alright. The final question some of you might be asking is, wait, are you autistic or something? And the answer is yes, I am autistic. Okay, maybe that's not much of a laughing matter, but some people just see it on other people, so. Right, so if I display any weird or antisocial behavior, well, I'm autistic. Yeah, that comes in good when it comes to programming. So, what are we doing here? Well, this is a pretty much empty project. The only thing I have done on this project since it was created is just make it into a floating island by adding some of these tiles here. Yeah, so do have a lot of experience from working on RPG Maker XP. However, I think that's a decade old, so things have changed a lot. Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to do here is to create the first test map. Now, according to the game design documents, that's actually in the process of being written, we have a couple of key places that we need to have, and I'm going to make a mock-up test version of said place. So I'm going to build a house. That's the first thing, and I'm going to do some playing with the events, and later in this episode I'm going to add in a few plugins and test them out, and we'll see what comes from that. But I'm not going to do all that stuff on screen right now, because if I look at how long the recording is, 8 minutes. I wish to try to keep this episode short, and there's lots more I want to have inside this episode, so I'm gonna come back to you in a little while, as going to do a transition in 3, 2, and I'm back. So it's been a few days since the last recording. I got a few things done after that, but I didn't actually do a recording. And now it's been quite a bit of time since various different factors. One of them being a bit of a case of a lazy. And I got the few other things to do, so but let me show you around. So here's the Testopia Island. I think that's what I can call it. Testopia Island. So got a nice little bit of a ruin here. Think of connecting this to something special, maybe. I don't know. But this is supposed to be my version of the the home island. So this is just where I'm gonna test things from, and then I'm gonna reconstruct, gonna construct something that's going to be, well, a test world for the story segments. But yeah. So after I put this thing together, TBC came in and fixed a couple of the events. So this tech demo, if you could call it that, looks a little bit better now. Yeah. And yeah, I had this little joke here, because you see, in many RPGs and, well, most games in general, when you enter a house, yeah, do you ever actually find the toilet? Yeah, I added the toilet. So this toilet is going to, among other things, add in some stat boosters. That's going to affect the, yeah, these story segments. I just had to figure out how. Speaking of the story segments, yeah, this is how that's going to happen. So you have the this storyteller right here. That's going to be one of your parents in the game or something of that kind. Not quite sure what it's going to be yet, but something. Yeah, but for now we're just testing it out. And, well, this is Testopia, so that's what it's supposed to be for. Yeah, so I haven't actually gotten to create a test map for the story segments yet, but that will come. Yeah. So I'm gonna get on with making something and testing out mechanics for going between live segment and story segment. And yeah, I'll be back in a few moments with that. And I'm back. And once again, it's been a few days since the previous recording, which is something I can just apologize to. Of course, you didn't really notice, since the transition was pretty much instantaneous for you, but yeah, just how it is. I'm gonna try to make these recordings a little bit more often, but the motivation has just not been there to do the work, so but yeah, I have reached whatever goal I set in mind for this episode, so I'm gonna go through it. So here we go. Let's start a new game. So first off, you'll notice that I have done some changes with the character. So you no longer play as some generic character from yeah, the default settings for the engine. Instead, you get some semi-generic character created through the character creator right there. Played around with it and just created this kid character, which I think is more fitting. Yeah, so you already know about the toilet, so let's just go up here. So the first thing is that, as you can see, what I have behind there is the story mode test map. This is modeled slightly based on the Testopia map for Generation 0, which is kind of what it's supposed to be. Each of these houses is going to house some sort of a test map, testing one or more feature each. Yeah, just intended to do for the future. Yeah, so when we're out here in the room here, we're gonna activate the book, and what's going to happen is that we're gonna trigger a cutscene. yeah, that took embarrassingly long time to actually get that working. Mostly because I had to relearn a few things. I don't really do events that often, so yeah. Alright, so we end up here in the story mode. And one thing I'm going to change in a later episode is who you play as in story mode. Yeah, you still play as the kid here, which is not supposed to be the case, but that I'm going to change later. It's only so much I can do in this episode. Yeah, and he came out of the grave, which is a funny thing I decided to make in this game. And if you decide to go back into the grave, you get me asking you if you're ready to go back in. Oh no, the game's over. No, you died. Yeah, when you die in the game, this is what happens. You just wake up in bed. Which is not the default behavior. So the default behavior is of course to return to the title screen. Which I wrote a plugin to change. So because of the potential of any legal mumbo jumbo, we want to play it safe. So yeah, we couldn't find any safe plugin for doing exactly what we wanted. So instead, I wrote my own. So gonna quickly go through what this code does. Here is the plugin. So I had to learn from scratch how to write a RPG Maker MV plugin, which yeah, in case you're wondering, this is a JavaScript. It is currently my let's say second most hated language. Yeah, but just how it has to be. It's what this engine uses, so yeah. And as you can see, I do have my issues with how this with how this whole engine was put together with the scripts here and the plugins, because it's using a really ugly hack as a default thing to add in plugin commands. Yeah, that's just something I hate, but hey, that's the coding standard, and that's the coding standard. Just got to live the coding standards. Okay, so one thing that's nice with RPG Maker MV is that all the source code is actually out there for you to read. It pretty much has to, because it's JavaScript. It has to run in a browser and all that, so yeah, all the code has to be available. So I can just open up the code and actually read it. So this is the internal source code for the engine, at least the the parts that runs the game. So this is the game over scene. This is what gets popped up when you die in the game, or you trigger a scene, an event that ends the game. And yeah, there's a lot of details here. Plays the music here and all that. But the interesting thing is this section right here. In the update section, it checks if something, and if the action key is triggered, if it is, then just goes the title. This is the part that I changed in my plugin. So as you can see, the scene game over prototype.update function object is overwritten right here. So I'm going to change that if I have a map ID to go to, a different map, then I do that instead using this new function here, which will send us back to the map scene, which is the scene where you can walk around on the map, in contrast to the game over screen where you get the big game over. And yeah, it sets a switch, lets us know that the game has indeed ended, and just transfer us to where it should be going. Yeah, that different map. What happens after that? Well, let's go to that map. See the event up here. Yeah, got a condition on that very game over switch I put there in the plugin settings. As you can see, the map ID 2, that's this one, and the switch 100. Yeah, I didn't have any changes, so yeah, and it's triggered auto run. So yeah, once the switch is on and the player enters this map, this will run, which will first send the player here, then throw that little exclamation point, and then just run the animation where he just slowly backs away from the bed. So yeah, that's about it. And if you're wondering about that chicken, I'll show you if I showed it. Wait, did I? No. Alright, let's just get back in here. Yeah, let's just continue from here. If we got the chicken, well, it just asks def. And game over. So yeah, I think that's just about it for this episode. I don't think about anything else I should add in, so I'm just gonna say thank you for watching. And yeah, that's it. Yeah, KvaGram out.